What's going on, Collider Games fans? I'm Caboose, and today what we're going to be talking about is something that we covered a little bit on last week's Collider Games podcast that is now coming back into light because someone who actually wrote, who was a screenwriter on Rogue One, a Star Wars story, had talked a little bit about this canceled Star Wars game. So to give you guys the rundown, initially there was a linear Star Wars game in development, and one of the people who actually worked on the Uncharted series was signed on to this project. Inevitably, that game unfortunately got canceled, and that led to EA taking the resources from that and putting it to a much more ambitious open world Star Wars game. And, well, very recently, in which we covered on last week's podcast, that game was canceled as well. So Gary Whitta, like I said, the screenwriter of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, jumped on Kinda Funny Games to talk a little bit about the inception of this idea, the linear Star Wars game that he had saw a little bit from, and he mentioned that it basically was going to be Star Wars Uncharted. And I mean, come on, if anyone hears that, how could you not get excited? And it is so disappointing that EA canceled this project and then decided to take the resources from that to make an open world game and then cancel that project anyways as well. So yeah, Gary Whitta jumped on Kinda Funny Games to essentially echo what I've been saying, in that it's quite embarrassing the way that EA has been handling the Star Wars license. You know, all the way back from Star Wars Battlefront to now, really not much has happened for Star Wars and EA. You know, with Star Wars Battlefront, it was extremely disappointing. A lot of people were not a fan of that game, especially considering it was completely void of any story mode or single player content. Then Star Wars Battlefront 2 comes around and you think, you know, they learned a little bit from their mistakes. They added in a story mode this time, but then the entire debacle of microtransactions just completely clouded that game from any sort of good press, which was extremely unfortunate as well. And then after that, they've canceled 2 other Star Wars games that were in development, and now all we really have left is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is in development from Respawn and is said to come out this year, but I don't necessarily think it's going to reach that release date. But regardless, Whitta talked a lot about what he had seen from the original linear Star Wars game. He talked a lot about his opinions on what's going on with EA and how they are handling the license of Star Wars. And like I said, he mentioned that it would have been Star Wars Uncharted. That linear game would have been Star Wars Uncharted. And it's because, well, they had the narrative director of the Uncharted games working on that game. And honestly, I don't know anyone in their right mind who thinks it would have been a bad idea to make a Star Wars game in the vein of the Uncharted series. Whitta went so far as to say that if I was an EA shareholder, I'd be effing furious. EA's Star Wars license has been catastrophically mismanaged. And, well, can you disagree with him? That's the news that we got for today, and now we kick it to you guys. Let us know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. How do you feel about everything that's been going on with these Star Wars games? You know, the fact that EA has canceled 2 Star Wars games so far and have only put out 2 mediocre ones. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, a positive rating would be appreciated. And you can subscribe to the Collider Games channel for more gaming coverage. I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.